Hello and welcome back to the BritVSJapan podcast. This is a podcast where I, Matt, talk about a whole bunch of random stuff, usually to do with language learning, but if not, stuff that I find interesting that I think that might help you personally, and any other things that I find interesting. And I also answer your questions and any topics that you guys want me to talk about via the YouTube comments, and in the description there is a Google Forms link which you can click and submit any questions or topics you might have. In today's podcast episode, we will be answering one of your guys' questions from James Davis. Should I actively try to recall RTK words for two kanji together when reporting a sentence card? When repping a sentence card, sorry. Thank you in advance. So RTK, if you don't know, is remembering the kanji. It's a way of learning kanji. I'm sure everybody's watching this probably already knows that. And essentially, you have flashcards. You have a kanji either on the front or the back, and then the English keyword on the opposite side, depending on whether you want to learn writing or not. So when you're doing sentence cards, which you just basically get a sentence of Japanese or whatever language you're learning, and you have one unknown in there, and you're trying to learn that, and you have maybe audio on the back, or hints or dictionary definitions on the back, and the readings on the back, and you just have the original sentence on the front. You try and read the sentence, and you try and understand the sentence, try and read it perfectly, and all that. Then trying to recall the RTK keywords, can be helpful. It isn't something that I've ever actively tried to do, but it is something that I think comes with just reading the sentences anyway, because you'll read through a sentence, and you should, if you've done RTK properly, and you've done all your reps and you've solidified most of them, then you should sort of pick up what the kanji means from that word. As you read it, you should be like, oh, that's the kanji for this. If you're not at that stage, then it's likely that you've just switched over to sentence flashcards from RTK, and so you still quite haven't maybe solidified all of the kanji into your head yet, or there's still some that are quite fresh, and you're still doing the early reps for the RTK kanji flashcards. And so what I would recommend is, if that is the case and you're really struggling to look at a kanji and understand what the keyword is for that kanji, I would skip that sentence flashcard for now. Maybe suspend it, maybe put it in your browser and come back to it later, which you can do in Anki. You can suspend the flashcard, and then later on, if you want to look at it again, you can go back into the browser. And once you're in the browser, you can select the card, unsuspend it, and then it will come back into your pool of new cards to learn. So I would recommend doing that. If you want, you can try and make sure you recall the kanji keyword perfectly and make sure you've solidified the RTK keywords. But again, as I said, it's nothing that I've never personally done that because I'd never had the need to. I never felt like I was in a situation where, I had to do that. It was either a case of I know this kanji or I don't know this kanji. And if I didn't know the kanji, I wouldn't learn the sentence. And then I would hope that the RTK flashcard deck, the kanji flashcard deck, would show me that kanji again, and I would likely not know what the kanji is, so I'd reset the card and learn it again, if you know what I mean. So, or personally, another way of doing it is, if you're really stuck on a kanji and you don't know what it means, look it up online. Look at the kanji kohi forums, see what the meaning is, see what the keyword is. Double check in Anki that you've got that card, because there are some kanji that just aren't in RTK. If you don't have an RTK flashcard for that kanji, make a new one, add it to that deck and learn it. If it is in there and you have learned it, then you could possibly reset that specific card. You could reset it back to 0 and learn it again, or just add another copy of it. You could do that. Personally, I wouldn't add another copy, I don't think, because then that will kind of mess up the repping part. But yeah, I suppose there's nothing to say that you can't do that. You could always have the RTK keyword for the kanji on the back as well. The only problem I see with doing this is it would make doing a sentence flashcard it would take a lot longer to do it. And I think the main benefit of doing Anki and doing flashcards with Anki is having as little information on a flashcard as possible. This is something that I struggled with in doing making flashcards for my university course for software engineering is I would get very lazy during lessons and during lectures, because I would be trying to make Anki flashcards on the spot during the lectures. So as the teacher is spewing out all this information really quickly, I'm I'm trying to write it all down or take screenshots of the PowerPoint and add it into Anki and make flashcards on the spot. So I'm trying to keep up with the content and also make flashcards. And what I found was I would end up just putting in what is this, and then having just a massive paragraph of text on the back of the flashcard. And this really didn't help, because most of the time it would be explaining a very large concept or something that it can't be explained in a few sentences. And you wouldn't necessarily be able to remember any of this through Anki, and it would be very difficult to learn these specific flashcards. I was constantly failing them because there was just too much information on the flashcard. And then what I found was that breaking each of these individual flashcards down into separate smaller flashcards, where I would answer individual specific questions about a certain topic, was much better, much more effective at getting a better whole understanding of a larger topic. So personally, I would keep it as it is, keep the RTK kanji flashcards separate from the sentence flashcards, and just have very minimal information on the sentence flashcard. I see people doing all sorts of crazy things with their sentence flashcards, having massive flashcards with a ton of information on them. And personally, I don't see the point in that. I think it's good to have dictionary definitions, and it's good to have the readings of the word, of the words of the kanjis on the back of the flashcards. Audio is great, images are great. These are all sort of supplementary things. The main thing that you are getting from doing a sentence flashcard, or the main two things, is checking that the reading is correct and checking that the dictionary definition matches your understanding of the word. And so those are the two main things, really. And even then, the reading is just something that isn't a huge thing because you get used to it really quickly. So the main thing you're trying to do is understand that one unknown word and the dictionary definition of it. And if you add too much to the flashcard, I feel like it's going to be harder for you to remember or do the flashcard and sort of, try and, remember everything and do everything all at once. Breaking it down into separate things is much, much better. So the RTK keyword, the RTK flashcards themselves should be good enough. The sentence flashcards by themselves should be good enough. And this is where, I would say, I haven't really started learning pitch accent yet or doing any of that stuff. But if you are learning pitch accent, personally, what I'm going to be doing is making a separate deck for pitch accent. I'm not going to be adding pitch accent stuff onto my sentence cards because I feel like it's just too much. I feel like you should be making a separate deck for pitch accent only. And just building upon blocks that you've already created is a much better way of doing things than just shoving everything onto one card and trying to learn that one card. So breaking everything down into separate decks, breaking everything down to smaller flashcards with less information is much, much better in the long term than trying to cram it all together, in my personal opinion anyway. I hope you found that helpful. Please let me know if you didn't or if you did. If you didn't, then let me know and I'll try and answer it in a bit more detail next time. But I think I did a good job of answering that. I guess to sum it up is I wouldn't do it personally. It's up to you though. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you did, leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know if any questions or topics you want me to answer in the comment section down on YouTube, or in the description there is a Google Docs form which you can submit your questions or answers there. If you really, really want to support the podcast, then check out the Patreon in the description down below. For the $3 tier, you can get access to the Patreon episodes a week earlier, and it really just helps me make more content online and trying to help more people learn about learning languages and other stuff through this podcast and through the main channel and through my website. Guys, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.